Hi guys, my name is Phil and welcome to Phil Does 3D. I'm a multimedia and 3D artist and I stream on Twitch weekdays from 5 PM Pacific time in the US, 12 PM in Australia and 1 AM in the UK. I hope all you guys are well. Good to see you, Sniper Echo. I hope you've got your coffee already and I've got mine ready. I'm glad you enjoy the streams too, Sniper Echo, and I enjoy bringing the streams to you guys. So let's recap on what we've been doing and what we're going to be doing. Again, this is maybe just for the benefit of anyone watching that may be new. With the streams that we've been doing so far, we created our garden terrace in 3D Studio Max and we textured it in Mari by the Foundry. Then we brought that model into Eon View and set up our materials for it. And then we started creating an environment for it. So we started by putting down a ground plane and putting some grass down. Just back in time, Sniper Echo, cool. I'm just recapping here for everyone or anyone that may be new that may be watching what we're doing. So we placed a plane down for our grass. Then we placed plants around the outside of our garden terrace. Then we placed some plants on either side of the path to help draw your eye into the garden terrace. Then we scattered leaves down along the path. Again, that'll help draw your eye into the background. And then yesterday we were placing these large rocks and covering them with moss so that we could place our hero trees, which are just any high resolution object close to the camera is generally called a hero object. We're going to be pulling in two of those large, they're either maple or oak trees, I can't remember exactly at the moment, one for either side. So we did that yesterday. We jumped into SpeedTree and exported our tree model. So let's start today by importing those trees into our scene, and we're going to have to do some fixes to the materials. Remember guys, like I was telling you with our ivy that we've got growing here on the back of our garden terrace, any plants you make outside of view, this includes trees as well as flowers, you're going to have to correct the materials when you bring it into view, because if you don't, when you render out your plants that you've exported from whatever 3D program that is, it doesn't have to be SpeedTree, it can be any 3D program that you make a plant in. When you import that into Eon View and do a render, you're going to get really dark looking shadows on the leaves and on the flower petals and things. It's just not going to look right. So any plants you make outside of view in your 3D program and you import into view to put in your scene, you're going to have to do some adjustments on. So we're going to have to do the same thing for that tree we exported from SpeedTree yesterday. So let's import that tree model. But before we do that, let's create a new layer, because remember guys, always work in layers. Now we could put it in our foreground mounds layer, but I think we'll create a separate layer for the trees. So we'll rename that layer and I'm just going to call it Hero Trees. And with that layer selected, we'll import our tree model. So import object. Let's just find where our tree is. Finals. Trees. Garden terrace left, we'll start with that one. And we'll just wait for view to import it. There's a bar down here in the corner. I know you can't see it because it's hidden behind me, but when you import an object down in that corner of the program, you'll see a little bar that starts filling up as it loads the object in. Now the tree scale is probably going to be wrong as well, and it is. It's really big. You're probably going to notice something too, and this is what Sniper Echo was asking me about yesterday with regards to the he was working with Knald, K-A-N-L-D, to do his normal mapping, and he was saying his models were coming in flipped. And you'll notice here that this tree also has come in flipped. It's flipped on its side, and I'm assuming that's what Sniper Echo was talking about with his models when he was bringing them into Knald. Now in Eon here, all I'm going to do is rotate my model. so it's sitting the right way up. But if you wanted to fix that problem, and this is a good, I'm going to jump into SpeedTree really quickly so I can show you guys how you would correct that and not have to rotate your model if you didn't want to. So if I jump into SpeedTree really quickly, come on. And I load up a model. I was going to load up something that wasn't quite so poly heavy because Eon View was going to complain when we go back to it, but we'll see how we go. I'll load up one of the trees that we exported yesterday, which is this one here. Now, when you go to export your model from whatever 3D program you're using, we'll leave it as what it's called at the moment. You should get an option in whatever dialog, whatever 3D program you're using or whatever dialog box you have of the coordinate system. And this is what you would change if you wanted to rotate your model correctly. So if you left it as Z up right-handed in SpeedTree, your model when you import it into view will be flipped on its side. So you'd want to change that to Y up right-handed. Most programs don't have this right-handed bit, they just have Z up or Y up. You want to change it to Y up and then export your plant. Then when you imported it into view, it would come in the right way up. That's if you don't have the option to rotate it like in Nulled. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out again to show you guys, if you do have problems with your models when you import them into other programs and they're flipped on their side, look for an option that's either Z up or Y up. You want to flip one of those two. Alright, let's jump back into view here. Now you'll see with the tree that as it comes into view, as it's been exported from SpeedTree, it's not looking quite right, and that's because of the materials. So select a tree, open up your material by double clicking. Again, you probably can't see it because of my music box there, but that's the material down in the corner. Just double click on that to open up the material editor. And you want to look for, they're the twigs and leaves. You don't want to change those, they're fine. But you do want to change this one, which is caps, which are the dead end branches have a cap, and that's what this is. You'll see how that's see-through. You don't want it to be see-through, so you want to go into your color in alpha, edit the function, and you'll see what view has done when it's brought it in. It's attached the color channel to the alpha channel, which you don't want, so select that link and hit the delete key. It's also put the looks like the spec map into the transparency slot. Again, that's incorrect, so just select the link and delete it and go OK. And again, you want to pull your transparency then back to 0. So just to recap, go into your function editor and remove the link for the alpha map and for the transparency. Then go into your transparency tab and make sure it's pulled down to 0. That's if you're using SpeedTree. That's generally what will happen when you import a model that you've exported from SpeedTree. Let's move on to the next one. Now the leaves are going to be okay, but we are going to change some of the settings on the leaves. Let's do that now. Now the highlights. We don't want 100% here. We're going to pull the highlights back to about 40%. We're going to change the global highlight size to 90%. And we're going to change the anisotropic highlighting to about 20. Now this is for the leaves of any plants you bring in. These settings will work regardless of what program you use. Any leaf that you use, any plant you make in any other 3D program, the leaves of those plants use this setting. It's a good default setting for anything. We're going to leave transparency as it is because it's using an alpha map. We're going to go into our effects tab and we're going to pull the backlighting up to 100%. Everything else can stay the same, but always make sure you pull up the backlighting to 100% on the leaves. If you don't do that, when you render out the tree, your leaves are going to come out quite black and the shadows are going to look really weird. Okay, so again, pull the highlights down to 40, 90, 20. So global intensity is 40, highlight global size is 90, and anisotropic highlighting is about 20. And in your effects tab, make sure your backlight is at 100%. All right, let's move on to the next leap. We're going to do the same thing again. So in the highlights, we're going to make the global highlight intensity 40. We're going to make the highlight global size 90 and the anisotropic highlighting 20. Then we're going to go into our effects tab and pull up our backlighting to 100%. Alright, and the next one is the actual trunk of the tree. Again, we've got that problem with the transparency, so go into your color and alpha, right click on your texture and go edit function. And we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to delete the link to the alpha and delete the link to the transparency. Then go into your transparency tab and pull global transparency to 0. Okay. Now let's go back to the beginning of our textures here to the twigs. We're going to check our normal maps because remember, normal maps always must be set to a gamma of 1. And by default, it defaults to the system gamma in view, which is either 1.8 or 2.2. Okay, this one doesn't use a normal map, so that's okay. That probably means this one won't be using a normal map either, but we'll just double check. Nope. Let's check on this one. No, it doesn't look like it's using a normal, so that should be good. I know some of these do use a normal map. No. Just checking on these. Okay, no, that's fine. Maybe only the trunk that's using a normal map, I think. Unless it did. I know the program creates normal maps for these objects. View may not have pulled them in automatically. It doesn't look like it did. Okay. Alright, well that's okay. Let's load up some normal maps for this tree. Let's start here. What have we got here? We've got big leaf maple branches TGA. Let's see if there's a normal map for that. Because remember, the program speed tree would have created the normals automatically for us if it needed normals. Hang on, I've forgotten the name already. Big leaf maple branches, okay. So let's see if there's a normal map for it. Trees folder. I'm just going to go into list view, it'll be easier for me to see. Big leaf maple branches. There is a normal for it here. So we're going to load in the normal map. Remember though, with these normal maps, we're going to edit our function. We have to change the gamma. So again, I'm just going to pull these out a bit so we can get a bit of a clearer view as to what's going on. So we're going to click our normal map. Click our gamma button and you see it's override gamma, but it's overridden the gamma to 1.8. That's wrong. You want to override gamma to 1. Always make sure with the normal map in view that your gamma, which is this little button here, is always set to 1. If it's set to system gamma, that's incorrect. Say override gamma and make it 1. The same way we set up the materials for the garden terrace that when we created the materials for that in view. Okay, let's move on to the next texture. And this one is just called Branches 08. Branches 08 normal, that one there. Again, we're going to edit our function, select our normal map, and make sure our override gamma is set to 1. You see how that lightens up the normal map itself. That makes it the correct color. If you don't change that setting, your normal map is not going to render correctly. It's going to look weird in view. Okay, the next one. This is called Cap 6. Cap 6 normal, that one there. Again, edit the function, select the normal map, open up the gamma, and override gamma to 1. Next one, Maple Leaf 1. So let me check that again. Big Leaf Maple Leaf 1. Okay. Big Leaf Maple Leaf 1. That's the normal map for it there. I know this looks a little messy. Just by default, Vue doesn't really organize things very nicely for you. You can certainly move them around and make them nice and clean if you prefer. It's just up to you. Again, I'm not changing. You remember last time when we changed these, we renamed them. I'm not going to do that for the trees because I only did that for my model because I'm putting it online and I wanted it, anyone that bought it, an easy way to identify what the different things were. But because these trees I'm not exporting or selling, I'm not going to worry about it. We are going to override our gamma to 1. And this is Big Leaf Maple Leaf 2. Big Leaf Maple Leaf. No. I don't want the alpha map, I want the normal map. Big Leaf Maple Leaf 2. Okay, let's make sure we change our gamma to 1. Now this is the actual textures being used for the main part of the tree, the trunk. It's Big Leaf Maple Leaf Bark, I think it was. Yep. Big Leaf Maple Bark. Big Leaf Maple Bark Normal, that one right there. Remember guys, if there's anything you're not sure about or you don't understand, please feel free to pop into chat and ask me. If you have a question about anything regarding 3D or anything like that, again, feel free to pop into chat and ask me. It doesn't have to be about this program, it can be about anything. If I know the answer, I'm certainly willing to help, or try to anyway. If you just want to watch that, that's completely fine. Alright, I think we've fixed up all of our textures, we've loaded in all of our normal maps. Our tree should be good to go. This is the tree for the left hand side over here. So let's move it into place and scale it back. Let's scale it down to begin with. Still way too big. Now remember, this tree is going to be sitting on that mound we created yesterday over here on the left hand side where that rock is. Let me pull it down and then I can work out the size of it. Okay, so it's got to be bigger than that. I'm judging the size here based on the terrace itself as to how big I want the tree, or I think the tree should be. It's generally a good way to judge if you bring something in that's not scaled correctly. Because I know when we created our garden terrace, we made sure the scale was correct with our little gizmo here in the corner. So we know anything we scale relative to our garden terrace will be scaled correctly. We could scale the tree up a bit bigger if we wanted to, but at this stage, let's leave it that size. Now, I do want to rotate it though. I'm going to rotate in the top viewport because it's generally the easiest. Now, as I'm rotating it, I'm looking in my camera viewport down here though. I'm rotating in my top view, but I'm always looking in my camera view, just so I can get a silhouette that I like. Let's move it over a little bit. I'm going to sink it down into the ground a bit more as well, so it's not floating above the surface. Pull in on our side view so I can get a bit better of a look at it. Okay, let's try rotating it a bit more. Maybe move it in a little bit. Now, what I'm trying to avoid here is covering up too much of the actual garden terrace itself. I don't want the trees to completely occlude the terrace in the background, because that's the whole reason we're designing this environment, to highlight the terrace itself. So I really don't want to cover that up if I can avoid it. So it's really just a question of playing with the rotation until you get something that you think is going to look okay. I'm just going to deselect my tree for a minute so I can get a better look at what that's like in the viewport. And that's not too bad. The dead branches are actually, when I created the tree, I created it specifically for this side of the of our scene, and I specifically removed any leaves because I knew that that would be overhanging the terrace, and I didn't want to hide the terrace in the background. So that should be okay. There aren't too many leaves here that will cover up too much of our garden terrace. Alright, let's pull in the other tree now, the one for the right hand side. So import object. This one here. Again, we're going to have to do the same thing, and we're going to have to scale it, and we're going to have to fix our materials up. And again, I know in our viewport here, we can't really see our tree on our left-hand side, but when I do a larger render, which I'll do once we do our two small square beauty renders, we'll see more of the tree then. So I'm going to do a 2560 by 1440 rectangular render as well. Okay, so the same thing, we're going to have our tree too big and on the side, so we're going to have to rotate it. You see that bounding box? You can tell when you're at a 90-degree rotation because the box starts scaling up and down in the opposite direction. Again though, if you make those changes before you export your model, you won't have to rotate it. Okay, let's open up our materials and fix them up. So the branches are going to be fine. The caps though are not, so again let's edit our function. remove the alpha connection and the transparency connection, and make sure our transparency is pulled all the way back to 0. We'll leave the leaves for the moment. Again, we're going to have to make some changes to those materials. Let's get rid of the transparency first. And this is the bark of the tree. Again, let's edit our function. Remove the alpha connection and remove the transparency connection. Pull our transparency back to 0. Okay, let's jump back to our leaves and fix the materials for that again. So, highlights to begin with. Again, 40% on highlight global intensity, 90% on global highlight size, and 20% on anisotropic highlighting. And again, in the effects tab, make sure backlighting is pulled to 100%. The next leaf here. Again, 40, 90, and 20. Again, with our backlighting here in our effects tab pulled up to 100%. Just on the leaves though. Not on the bark or on the twigs, just the leaves. You don't want to touch the backlighting on the other textures, just the leaf textures. Okay, let's jump back to the beginning here. So again, we've got big leaf maple branches. Let's load up the normal map for that. Big leaf maple branches, normal, that one there. Again, we're going to change the gamma on our normal map. To 1. And the next one here is branches 08. Big leaf maple branches 08 normal, that one there. Remember, always change your gamma on your normal map. Okay, this is the cap 06. And this one is Big Leaf Maple Leaf 1. Big Leaf Maple Leaf 1 normal, that one there. This one is Big Leaf Maple Leaf 2. And this one is Big Leaf Maple Leaf Bark. That one there. I think that's it for the textures now on the tree. They should be all changed and good to go. Let's scale our tree to match the other one. Again, it doesn't have to match it exactly. It can be a bit bigger, a bit smaller. Doesn't really matter too much. Because remember, trees will grow at different heights, so if you want one tree a bit smaller or one a bit bigger, that's perfectly fine. Let's pull it down. I may make this one a little bit bigger, I think. No, don't go nuts. Don't make it hugely bigger, but a bit bigger is fine. Okay, let's move this one into position on the other side. Again, I'm looking at my camera viewport down here while I move it in my top viewport up here. I'm going to rotate it around. Into the atmosphere with cosmic presence, we will light the way. Oh, we're shooting stars in the night. You see the way my camera was moving when I was rotating my tree? That's something I haven't actually mentioned to you guys when you're using view. I'm just going to deselect the tree for a minute so I can go over this camera business. Whenever an object occludes your camera, view will automatically move your camera above whatever that object is. So in this case, when we were rotating our tree, some of these branches started to occlude the camera. And so what view did was move the camera way up here above the tree. Now, I don't particularly like that. So down here you've got a height button. You can lock the height of the camera. I'm going to do that right now. What that means is when anything occludes the camera now, view won't automatically move your camera above it. That's just a function they put in view in case you were doing an animation and you wanted to, and you forgot all of it. You animated the path of your camera and you didn't realize your camera was actually moving through an object. They added this thing where view would automatically move your camera above the object. So just be aware of that, because it can be confusing at first as well for people that aren't sure. That little lock camera button down here to lock the camera height if you don't want it to move at all. Otherwise, view will move it automatically. Let's go back to our tree here though. And we're going to move it in a little bit. Like meteors, we light up the sky with magic. Like meteors, we light up the sky with magic. I'm trying to judge my position here, looking at the terrace in the background. Again, I want to try not to cover up too much of my garden terrace. I'm going to deselect my tree for a minute. Make sure it's sitting in the right position here in the ground by looking through my side viewport. We could probably pull it up a little bit, I think. Whoa. You know, it's interesting. View just crashed. Again, you see what it's doing here. What it's doing is it's saving a backup of this file that we've just been working on. View can be fiddly like this. It could be because we opened up SpeedTree in the background and View didn't like the fact that SpeedTree likes to grab some memory as well. But what View is doing at the moment is it's saving a backup of the file for us. So when we load View back up again, we should be able to just carry on from where we were here. But again, remember this is a really large file, so we're looking at about a 4-minute save here while it saves out this backup. Anyway, it's probably a good time for me to reiterate what I was just talking about a little bit more. If you have that problem with an export from your 3D program being turned on its side, look for that flip X and Y axes in your export dialog. Remember, if you do bring in any plants that you create in another 3D program, you're going to have to make sure that you make those changes to the materials for the backlighting particularly. Yeah, it is amazing. It's one of the good things. You even have the option to turn that off if you want in View. I don't generally turn that off because it can be very handy. I turn off the autosave feature. I do the same thing in Max because I don't like to have my workflow interrupted when I'm working. So any program I use, I turn off autosave. But View has an auto backup feature that will automatically create a backup if the program crashes. I don't turn that off, but you can if you want. I probably suggest you don't. For these sort of instances where program crashes out and and you want to continue on from where it left off. But yeah, it's a good feature built into View. It also does that every time you make a save file. So even though our saves in View take quite a while, they can take like 5 minutes to save out a heavy scene now. What it's doing is it's saving out 2 files when it does that save. It saves out the file name and then it also saves out an automatic backup of that file. Just to cover you in case you get corruption maybe in your main file, you've always got a backup copy as well. So remember, even though View is taking like 5 minutes to save out your scene to the hard drive, it's actually creating 2 different files. It's creating the actual scene file and creating a backup of it as well. It puts them both wherever you're saving your main file. You'll see your file name .bob and then you'll see your file name .bak, and that bak is the backup. You just load the bak up like you do the VOB. It's the same thing. Good time for coffee anyway. You got to remember too, guys. I'm looking down here in the corner and we're at nearly 2 billion polygons now. Not quite, but we're about 200 million short of 2 billion. Always a good time for a coffee break. Like I said, View generally it's pretty good. It does crash occasionally, but every program will crash occasionally. I know you've seen this program crash twice on me on stream since I've been creating the scene. But again, remember, we're working with nearly 2 billion polygons in this scene. I don't think you can be too hard on the program if it crashes twice in how many sessions we've been working with it now. So I'm not going to knock it for crashing because generally it's pretty stable, but any program will crash occasionally. So what do I use to record videos to my hard drive? I use OBS. So I'm using OBS Studio at the moment to broadcast to you guys on Twitch, and at the same time I'm getting OBS to record the stream to my hard drive. I'm assuming that's what you mean, Sniper Echo. Yeah, and I do that because I edit out the stream video to take out the countdown at the beginning and take out my Be Right Back screen in the middle of my stream and the thanks for watching screen at the end. I cut all that out in Premiere, and then I upload my video streams for the day, like today's stream, into 3 parts on Twitch, and then I upload it to YouTube, to my YouTube channel as well. But no, OBS Studio for a free piece of software is excellent. Really good stuff. So yeah, OBS Studio is what I use to record my streams to my hard drive that I then edit and upload to my Twitch videos page and my YouTube channel. after I've split up the 2 hours into usually about 40-minute blocks for people to watch. Come on, View.